Welcome to NexTalks. I'm Nex, and this is where I talk. Today we're talking about change. Like it or not, change is an inevitable part of life for everyone. It's an experience shared by all people, and keeping this in mind can help us to cultivate greater compassion and understanding toward others. Learning about change can help us improve our personal lives too, which ultimately improves all of society one by one. Gandhi echoed this sentiment when he said to be the change you want to see in the world. So let's get into it. Some changes that happen in our lives are outside of our control. Natural disasters, death, illness and disease, aging, inflation and cost of living, getting dumped, cheated on, or otherwise betrayed or deceived. The list goes on. A year ago, a record-breaking hurricane hit Florida and took the roof clean off of the condo I had just bought. It's been uninhabitable since, with the insurance company taking what feels like a criminally long time to process our claim and get us back in our places. So I had moved 6 months before the hurricane to a new town, started a new job, and gotten into a new romantic relationship. My life was ripe with change already, and then the hurricane took it to a whole new level. I went from a first-time homeowner to a homeless person with a mortgage overnight. Although I wish I was in a position to do so, I simply cannot afford my mortgage and rent on top of it. I was thrust into a dire situation that was entirely outside of my control. Fortunately, I've had loved ones and even mere acquaintances offer me free places to live and stay the entire year since. It has been overwhelming to see how blessed I truly am in the midst of what could have been a tragedy. I am a living case study proving the importance of a healthy social support system. My options without them are dismal, and I've been witnessing this sad reality with some of my more socially isolated and ostracized neighbors who are not as lucky as I have been. Loneliness has been linked to heart disease, dementia, depression, anxiety, and a weakened immune system. If you feel lonely, please make a conscious effort to get out there and start cultivating positive social interactions ASAP. Be kind, be generous, volunteer. Do whatever it takes to start fostering healthy social connections and relationships. Your life depends on it. At the very least, your quality of life depends on it. I digressed a bit there, but the point is that sometimes unexpected things happen and cause major changes in our lives. Some changes, though, come about by our intentional effort. Healthy humans make changes as they develop and evolve. They learn and practice positive, healthy habits to replace negative, destructive ones. Of course, this is much easier said than done. Check out my episode on addiction. But awareness and understanding helps us to educate and empower ourselves. Start small. Small things add up. There is tons of literature out there about habits and how powerfully we are driven by them. Because we are such creatures of habit, change can be hard, really hard. We would do well to consistently remind ourselves why we're making the change. What is the end goal? It is so important to take the time to reflect on what it is that you want. How else will you know what changes you want to make? I personally love to use visualization exercises where I simulate myself moving towards my goals. And if that resonates with you, I suggest you give it a try. Another tool you can use is the idea of or, not and. Will you do this or that? The reality is that you usually can't do this and that, at least not past a certain point. This means that you realize you can't do everything. You can't just keep adding things to your list and your schedule. Eventually, you will have to prioritize what is truly important. You do this by realizing that every choice you make around how to spend your time is at the exclusion of other things. You can spend the time exercising, Or you can spend the time doom scrolling. You can spend the time going to therapy, or you can spend the time gaming. Whichever you choose, what is getting omitted? When you step back and look at which activities are taking top priority in your life, ask yourself, is this how you want your life to be? Are you living by your own values? Have bad habits set in, derailing you from any of your goals? Professionals can be really helpful here. Therapists, coaches, or even friends and family that are willing to support you. People who will help you stay accountable and on track. I truly believe that you can change just about anything you want to. It can take time though, so please be patient with yourself. Now, let me make one thing abundantly clear. You will face unwanted changes and hardships in your life. I know you already have, and this is a danger of the law of attraction way of thinking. We avoid having uncomfortable thoughts because we superstitiously fear manifesting them. I promise you, you can avoid thinking about and anticipating change all you want. It will not prevent it from coming to your doorstep. Ready or not, it will come. So, how do we get ready? I've been reading a book by the Dalai Lama called The Art of Happiness. And he talks about this concept in the context of suffering. He believes you should spend some time mentally exercising and preparing for the challenges you may encounter in life. This way, you're more psychically prepared to handle it if it does occur. If you've spent no time reflecting on how you would handle something, you can bet it's going to throw you off more than someone who has. You can implement this into your meditation practice, spending a few minutes regularly reflecting on changes that could occur and simulating mentally how you would handle them. Expect and anticipate changes because they're going to happen. Avoiding them will not prevent them. The Dalai Lama puts it this way: life is change. And to the degree that we refuse to accept this fact and resist the natural life changes, we will continue to perpetuate our own suffering. So what do you do after big changes come? Preparing ahead with mental exercises and meditations is all fine and well, but what about once the change has come and rocked your world to its core? First, it's important to recognize that you are not alone in your experience. All humans experience unexpected changes that knock them down. There are likely support groups in your area that come together to connect in shared loss. Next, it's important to realize the importance of rest. Taking the necessary time to breathe, relax, sleep, exercise, hydrate, etc. is vital at times like these. Self-care should become a top priority. Gently tend to yourself, and if you're struggling to do so, please, please, please ask someone for help. You don't have to be an island. Loneliness is a dangerous feeling that comes along with a long list of poor outcomes. So don't self-isolate too extremely. Be sure to stay connected to your loved ones and allow yourself to be supported and cared for just like you would do for them if the shoe was on the other foot. You don't have to completely stop all activity and work in your life in many cases. Just take it easy. Don't push yourself when you're sensitive and raw. Big changes can often come with big perspective and mindset shifts, which can be for our ultimate good. So pay attention to what your mind and body are communicating to you during times of big change. This is also a good time to see who are the most reliable, consistent, loving people in your life. You also want to find effective ways to combat stress. Change can be stressful. So being able to manage stress is being able to manage change. I've heard it said that it takes about 100 seconds for the physiological effects of our emotions to subside. Now, when I'm having big emotions, sometimes I'll just start counting silently in my head to 100, noticing how my body feels and how it softens and changes over time. It's the fixation of the mind on the problem that induces further suffering. You can also implement strategies like long, slow, deep breathing. I usually take anywhere from 3 to 10 long, slow, deep breaths to combat anxiety and discomfort. I also take deep breaths as part of my daily meditation practice. Meditation is a great way to process stress. I like to refer to it as a sort of mental digestion practice. Spending time silencing outside inputs and going within is a great way to stay centered, grounded, and present even after the practice. You can take this calm energy with you into your daily life. Keeping your body and mind healthy can help to prevent stress from festering and causing chronic problems. Best-selling book Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson is all about change. The metaphor is that of a rat in a maze searching for cheese. The cheese represents our goals in life, the things we want. Sometimes the rat will go into the maze, and the cheese is right there in the same place it was last time. In life, too, certain methods can yield the results we seek for long periods of time. However, the cheese inevitably moves. We must be willing to implement new strategies, or pathways through the maze, so to speak, to ensure that we can continue to enjoy the metaphorical cheese of life through the ebb and flow of changes that are sure to come. In Johnson's book, the rats who are quicker to seek out new cheese are the most effective and satisfied in the end. That's not to say you should jump on every shiny new thing you come across, or that the grass will always be greener on the other side. Change can be painful, and growing pains are just as real in the physical world as they are in the mental one. Sometimes we try something new and it doesn't go the way we'd hoped. Sometimes we start learning something new and we have to go through the humbling, awkward stages of learning and improving before we can be as effective as we want to be. Sometimes we try something new and it's completely wrong. It doesn't have the intended effect at all, and we have to go back to the drawing board, humbled more still. Don't give up, though. Often, your success is much closer than you think. Being flexible and adaptive to change will keep you limber so you can maintain a successful position over time. On your path to change, you may not reach your ultimate dream goal. For instance, with physical exercise, maybe you don't quite reach that dream of having a full-blown visible six-pack. But as long as you're moving in that direction, you're doing great. You are pushing for the positive changes in your life that you want and you deserve. You're making the hard choices to initiate and sustain change. You're being the change you want to see in the world. For that, you can be proud. What's the saying? Shoot for the moon, and even if you fail, you'll land among the stars. Something like this. Neuroplasticity is the nature of your brain to change. As we get older, it used to be thought that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. But modern neuroscience has shown that our brains are still highly changeable all through our lifetimes. It is never too late to start shaping your brain the way that you want it. Just like a physical muscle, your brain's muscles or neurons, neural pathways, get stronger the more you use them. So if you've developed a strong ability to focus on the negative parts of your day and complain, you can change that. You can start practicing a gratitude journal and start to physically change the structure of your brain. What do you want to be good at? Practicing works just as well in your mind as it does in your body. The last thing I want to discuss before we part ways is the idea of transformational leadership. Not only can we affect change in our own worlds and lives, but we can create change for others too. Often, this will happen naturally, just by letting your life be a model. People can see your results and ask for your advice. In other cases, you're in a leadership position. Maybe you're a parent, or a manager, or a coach. Spend some time meditating on and brainstorming ways in which you can create positive change in the people you lead. Usually it is by example. Other times, though, it'll be through your direct intention, focus, and attention. Please exercise caution, though. We don't want to be manipulating anyone against their will. Be sure the people that you're leading are on board with the same mission and goal as you are. Then you'll be fostering an environment of teamwork and group collaboration rather than an authoritarian bossing around, which is rarely, if ever, effective for long. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of NexTalks. I'm Nex. I talked. I hope you liked it. If you'd like to help me be able to keep sharing information like this, you can support me here monthly or directly on my website. If you'd like to add to this conversation, or if you have a different topic you'd like to hear me talk about, you can leave a comment or reach out to me on social media. Thanks again. Hope to see you on the next one.